don't know about you, but my laundry room is a dumping ground. When my kids come home, this is where all their stuff goes. Hello, I'm Bridget Daisy. Welcome to my channel. So this week we're going to be working on the laundry room. But before we can get started, we're going to clean up. All right, so now that we've done some cleanup, before we look at what we're going to do with today's project, let me show you some of the stuff we've already done in the laundry room. To start with, we built some drawers into our laundry room bench. Before, these were just open cubbies that really served no purpose. So we went ahead and put some drawers in, and there are 6 of them. We keep all our shoes in there. We put some new hardware on as well. And then moving through the laundry room, when we first moved in here, the cabinet actually ended right here, and we didn't have anything from here down. It was just open in that space. So we went ahead and extended the cabinet and put a countertop on there. And then the project we're going to work on today is actually going to be up along this wall here, but we'll get to that in just a minute. Another thing that we did in the laundry room, a couple things actually. To start with, we built this little cubby here in between the washer and dryer, added this butcher block countertop on this side as well, and then also added the wallpaper up along this wall. Now in a future video, we'll be building some floating shelves over in this area. But what we're going to focus on today is back over on this wall, and that's above this little cabinet that we added in. And so today we're going to go ahead and we are going to start marking out where the cabinets will be. All right, now that we've laid it out in tape, let's see if we take a picture of this and then put that into ChatGPT if it can show us what it's going to look like when we're done.
Okay, so the prompt that we're going to put into ChatGPT is add a cabinet to each the right and the left side as marked by the tape. And let's go ahead and change that to a white cabinet and also add a brown shelf in between the cabinets, also marked out by the blue tape. All right, let's see what ChatGPT can do. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this part a little because it takes a few minutes. All right. I would say these results are actually pretty good. I'm planning on putting the shelf up a little bit higher than the image it shows, but it's a pretty good representation of what I'm going for. Okay, so I'm happy with how this looks. I'm going to go ahead and get the cabinets ordered. While we wait for them to arrive, check out these cute videos of an adorable kitten we just adopted.
A few minutes later.
So a little bit of a side project that I'll be working on today while we're waiting for the cabinets to arrive is I'm going to go ahead and paint the door behind us here. This one is an exterior door, and all of our doors though came in this kind of light gray color, and to me it just looks a little bit unfinished. So I've been kind of slowly going through the house and painting all of the doors black. All of the interior doors I went ahead and used a sprayer. But since this one is probably going to be super heavy and I'm only planning on doing the one side, so I'm going to go ahead and just roll this one out. So the paint that I'm going to be using today is this Color Max acrylic latex, and it is a satin black. So this is what we're going to be using. I'll go ahead and link that in the description. It works really great. It gives it a nice glossy finished look when it's done. Let's get to work on that. All right, y'all, so the door is done now. It took 2 coats of the paint to get it looking really good. And we did go ahead and replace the deadbolt here. So we now have a keypad to gain access from the garage. And I am loving the way it turned out. It's looking a lot better than the gray did. And some even better news, the cabinets are here. So let's get started on unboxing.
There's something exciting about opening up all the boxes and seeing the pieces laid out, like a giant puzzle just waiting to come together. We're starting with the Hampton Bay Ready to Assemble Unfinished Cabinet, featuring Click Ready technology. When I was searching, I specifically wanted something both ready to assemble and unfinished, so I could customize it to my space. Honestly, this option from the Home Depot was one of the only ones I could find that checked all those boxes. The Click Ready system is designed so that the panels simply click and lock together. No confusing instructions, no digging through bags of screws, and no specialty tools needed. It makes the process faster, sturdier, and a whole lot less stressful. Even if you've never built a cabinet before, this system makes it doable. Once the cabinet is fully assembled, it's time to move on to the fun part, customizing. A quick prep with sanding and wiping ensures a smooth surface. Laundry rooms that double as entryways from the garage get really put to the test. Think muddy shoes, backpacks, sports gear, and all the stuff that piles up when the kids are running in. Having cabinets with a tough finish means you don't have to worry about scuffs, spills, or sticky fingerprints. It all wipes clean with just a little effort.
So I got all of the cabinets set out last night and ready to paint. And then I discovered I'm out of paint. I actually had barely any. I swear I checked that, but apparently I did not. So I have grabbed my little helper and she and I are going to make a Lowe's trip. We're gonna go grab some paint so that we can get that accomplished today.
I picked Sherwin-Williams cabinet and furniture paint for this project. It's my first time trying it out, but I've heard great things, and I'm confident it'll give a smooth, professional finish that really holds up in the laundry room. For painting, I'm using the Graco Dual Speed Paint Sprayer. This tool is a game changer. It saves so much time and gives that smooth, factory-like finish that's almost impossible to get with brushes or rollers. No brush marks, no uneven spots, just a flawless coat every time. It's perfect for cabinets where you really want that professional look. I'll link it in the description because honestly, this has been one of my all-time favorite purchases for DIY projects. When spraying cabinets, timing is everything. After your first coat, you'll usually want to wait about 2 to 4 hours before applying the next one, but always check the manufacturer's instructions since some paints dry faster than others. Now, if you notice a run or drip while spraying, don't panic. The trick is to let it dry completely and then lightly sand it down before adding your next coat. Trying to fix it when it's wet usually only makes things worse. Something that a lot of people don't realize is that there is a difference between paint being dry to the touch and being fully cured. Dry to the touch means you can handle it gently, but fully cured means the paint has hardened completely, and that can take up to a few weeks. So go easy on those cabinet doors at first. When it comes to color, whites are always classic, but right now deep blues and sage greens are also really on trend. Since I already had white cabinets, I decided to stick with that clean, timeless look. Today, we're going to say goodbye to this bulky cabinet top so we can give it a fresh upgrade with crown molding. First step, carefully remove the existing trim and top piece. This small pry bar works great here. Just take your time so you don't damage the cabinet box itself. We're really struggling to get this piece removed. If you're wondering why, it's because
Oh, there's a whole bunch of cloth back there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes, there is. Slooched all over.
the caulk didn't stand a chance and the top is free at last. The painting is complete and now it's time to install. I grabbed my husband Brandon to help with the heavy lifting because even though these cabinets aren't that heavy, an extra set of hand is always great for a project like this. The first step is locating the wall studs. This part is critical since cabinets can be heavy once loaded up with stuff. I marked mine in advance with the Wallbot stud finder. This device and app is super cool, but it requires your cell phone at the same time, and it couldn't be both stud finder and camera. Even my phone can't be in two places at once. Once we had everything lined up and secured, it was time to rehang the cabinet doors. Finally, the finishing touches. Once the paint is dry and the cabinet is installed, the transformation really starts to show. This isn't just about making the space look better, it's about function. Suddenly, we've got hidden storage for detergents, cleaning supplies, seasonal gear, purses, or even the random things that always end up in the laundry room. Everything has a place, which makes daily life so much easier. I've ordered some tile samples, and now it's time to decide which one to actually order. The first one is by Chromatica. It's a 6-inch hexagon in the color Celeste. The middle one is by Marola Tile. It's a hex flower porcelain vintage tile. And finally, we have a Bond Tile by San Luis, a 4x12 ceramic handmade look subway tile. I know which one I'm leaning toward, but let's jump back into ChatGPT and see if we can get a better idea of what each of these will look like. Let's start by adding in our images. The first one is the laundry room as it is now, and the second is an image of the 6-inch hexagon tile. The prompt that I will enter is create an image that will show us what it would look like if we added a brown shelf in between the cabinets about 3/4 of the way up and added the tile shown in the second image between the countertop and the shelf. Yes, this first option turned out great. We'll only need one shelf, but for representation, this works perfectly. You have to love ChatGPT. All right, let's load in the other two options and see which one we like best. The next prompt is easier. Let's just ask, please replace the tile with this option. Here's what the hex flower tile will look like. And finally, the Bond subway tile. Here's all three options side by side. I think we can rule out the hex flower. I like this one, but when combined with the wallpaper on the opposite wall, I think it'll be too busy. That leaves either the 6-inch hexagon or the 4x12 subway tile. I really like them both, but the hexagon isn't really as deep blue as it appears in the ChatGPT image. Since I really like that darker color of the subway tile, I think that one is the winner. I'm going to get that ordered and on the way. And while we wait for it to arrive, it's time to get started on the shelf. Now it's time to cut the new shelf that's going in between the cabinets. Measure twice, cut once is a rule I try to follow, but I usually end up measuring twice, cutting 3 times, because my board's a little too long. The board we had on hand wasn't quite wide enough, so I added a strip along the back to get the perfect fit. I held it in place with some clamps and then secured it with some 2-inch screws. I probably should have used some wood glue here, but I couldn't find any quickly, and I really wanted to get this shelf stained. I wanted to be able to stain both sides at the same time. After doing the countertops, I knew it was going to take a lot of coats. So I created this jig to be able to stand up the shelf and stain both sides at the same time. This way, we don't have to flip it over 100 times. Efficiency for the win. The finish is going to take a little patience. 3 coats of stain to get the depth of color we want, followed by 2 coats of polyurethane for that smooth, durable finish. In the end, it'll look completely custom and tie the whole space together. I like using a brush to apply stain because it really works the color deep into the wood grain, giving you a richer and more even finish compared to a rag or sponge. Plus, it helps get into those little edges and corners without missing a spot. And here's a handy trick. Between coats, instead of rinsing the brush out every single time, just leave it soaking in a cup of water. It keeps the bristles soft and ready to go when you're back for the next coat. Way less cleanup, way more sanity saved. The shelf is complete, but before we can install it, we need to get the tile on the wall. For this step, we're using a thin set mortar. It's strong, reliable, and gives the tiles a solid bond. Now, of course, not every tile fits straight out of the box. Around edges, outlets, or the shelf, we've got to cut them down to size. For that, I'm using the Weaver wet tile saw I ordered through Amazon. It's been a game changer. The water feed keeps the blade cool and minimizes dust. Plus, it gives us super clean cuts without chipping you sometimes get from handheld tools. A good wet saw makes all the difference in how professional the final job looks. As we go, it's all about checking level and stepping back to make sure the pattern is staying straight. Walls in older homes especially aren't always perfectly square, so sometimes you have to cheat a little with cuts or adjust the spacing slightly to get the overall look balanced. When it comes to the thin set mortar, the trick is spreading it with a notched trowel at a consistent angle so you get those nice even ridges. That's what keeps the tile flat and prevents them from shifting once they're up. We're spacing everything out with 1/8 inch tile spacers. They might be tiny, but they're the real heroes here, making sure our grout lines stay consistent across the entire wall. Even a small mismatch in spacing can stand out once it's grouted, so patience is key. Once the tiles are set and the thin set has cured, we'll come back for grout. That's when everything really comes together. But for now, it's all about taking the time to prep carefully and get the tile layout just right, because a smooth install here makes every step after this much easier. When we removed the old cabinet top, it left some damage, so I filled in the rough spots with joint compound and smoothed it all out for a clean surface. I don't think anyone will ever see the back wall, but I wanted to make sure to patch that up as well. Sadly, when I removed the tape from the wall, it did some damage too. While much of it is covered by the tile, a few places above the shelf needed some joint compound too. Next, I measured the cabinet and walls to prepare for the crown molding. To support it, I cut and installed nailer boards along the top edge. These boards act as a solid backing, so the molding has something to attach to. When cutting the boards, I made sure to set the saw at a 45-degree angle. That way, the corners align perfectly and run seamlessly up the side of the cabinet. With the nailer boards secured in place, the cabinet is ready for crown molding installation. The first step in cutting our crown molding was setting up the miter saw with a fence. This gave us a consistent guide for holding the molding in place while cutting. Now, even though I had watched several YouTube videos, I quickly realized I had not immediately become an expert. So I called in Brandon to help me figure out the tricky angles and get the cuts just right. Turns out crown molding is a two-brain job. Once the pieces were ready, I installed the crown molding with a nail gun, securing it tightly to the nailer boards we added earlier. Off camera, I filled in the nail holes with wood filler to give it a seamless look. After a quick sanding to smooth everything out, I wrapped it up with a fresh coat of wall paint, finalizing the drywall patch where we added joint compound earlier. Now it's time to finish off the laundry cabinet with a clean bead of caulk. I'm applying a steady line along the seam. Nothing fancy, just a nice even flow. Here's the trick. Instead of using a wet rag or my finger, I grabbed a simple baby wipe. The moisture and texture help smooth the bead perfectly while also keeping the surface clean. Just a light swipe with the wipe and you get a crisp, professional finish without the mess. It's one of those little hacks that makes a big difference in your project. Next step, it's time to grout the tile. I'll admit my grout mix ended up a little on the thin side, but it was the end of the day and I was tired. I decided to just keep moving forward. Even so, it spread into the joints and filled everything nicely, giving the tile a clean, finished look. After the first wipe down, you'll want to wait about 30 minutes before coming back for a final cleanup. That way, you're left with smooth lines and a polished surface. Proof that sometimes tired determination gets the job done. Next up, I'm adding a hanging rod underneath the laundry shelf. Now, this isn't your standard closet rod. It's actually a large cabinet pole. But honestly, it looks great, fits the space perfectly, and works just as well for hanging clothes. To get the spacing right, I used the blue tape method. It's super simple. All I did was measure out the distance on the tape, mark my hole placements directly on it, and then stick the tape onto the shelf where I wanted to drill. That way I could double check the alignment before making any holes, and I didn't have to worry about leaving extra marks on the shelf. Once the tape was in place, I just drilled right through the markings, and it worked perfectly. You can use this method when hanging pictures on the wall, too. Now it's time for the final step, painting all of the laundry cabinets. The new paint I used for the cabinets was much brighter white than the original cabinet color, so giving everything a fresh coat was definitely necessary. This way, the whole space ties together with a clean, consistent look, and the cabinets all feel brand new again. That wraps up the laundry project. I'm really happy with how everything came together, and I think it totally transformed the space. If you enjoyed following along, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future projects. Up next, we'll be adding drawers and doors to the base cabinet below where we've been working, plus floating shelves above the washer and dryer. Now that the cabinets are such a bright white, I really need to paint the laundry room walls. What color do you think would work best? And outside of the laundry room, we've got even more planned, like a fun entryway refresh just in time for Halloween, and a big backyard project where we'll be building a gazebo. Lots more to come, so stay tuned.